Okay, so I know I said that I wasn't going to make any videos for a while, but then I thought about this. Well, not I thought about this. I've been thinking about this for months. I actually was going to make a video about health stuff due to like a conversation I just had with a couple people about pretty much how they have serious health issues, which is pretty obvious because for one, the food that people are being conditioned to eat and what's in it. But they were talking about that and how they were literally like, really they could drop dead like any minute, and doctors have been gaslighting them about it for however many years. It's really just the food and stuff and the metabolic issues, and I was going to talk about that and add in some parts from a video I was supposed to make like probably a year ago, but still haven't. But then I was like, nah, I should talk about this other thing I've been thinking about for some months that I feel is probably more important in some ways, but both are pretty important. It's going to be controversial as a usual video and go along with how most people live in a butterfly land, wait a minute, a la land butterfly world. I don't know what I was about to say, but people really don't like reality, and part of the reason that they don't is because they rather believe in this butterfly, unicorn, golden grass, lost city of El Dorado. Well, honestly, that's more real than any of the bullcrap people claim is real, but people just don't want to believe reality, and part of it is that everybody actually, well, not everybody, some people, at least to a certain extent, commonly not a lot, but to a certain extent, get a kick out of society and how the world is in some people's very bad situations. And when you tell the truth about anything, people just get mad about it, or they just get upset, or they just act like it's just because you're traumatized or something bad happened to you. And as I always say, I really hate when people make things that didn't even happen to me about me, but I overall hate when people like try to make things about me as if I'm the only person that anything bad has ever happened to, as a way to excuse and downplay the very real reality of the world and what happens to billions of people. But that's how people are. Kind of like how Allie Carter says that she really couldn't see herself dating anybody anyways because of the realities that she has about the world that most people can't accept. So anyways, now I'm going to start. The reality of, I guess I could say self-unalivement, that's probably not going to be the title. I'll probably just like use code spelling for the title. But I've been thinking about this for months on end. And I know people aren't going to like this, but this also can kind of go into limerence, codependency, being desperate, the cycles of life, trying to use people and whatever else to fill voids that's never going to work, God-sized voids, and how it's all accidental manipulation. So for one, I know a lot of people aren't going to like this, but realistically, it's nobody else's job to really keep you from unaliving yourself. So there's that. I guess that's the starting point. Like, I'm not even talking about mental health professionals, although I wouldn't even, if you have common sense, you wouldn't tell them if you feel that way anyways, because you're just going to get locked up and drugged on neurotoxin substances that are going to make your issues worse and actually really make you depressed because you're going to have serious metabolic issues, most likely type 2/metabolic syndrome until you switch over to pseudo type 1. What was the other thing? You're going to get brain damage, it's going to kill brain cells, you're going to get neurological issues, autoimmune issues, maybe even cancer, which is autoimmune anyways, stomach cancer, what's the other thing, Parkinson's, stuff like that, actual chemical imbalances. You're going to get all of that, so it's not going to make anything any better. It'll actually cause issues that you don't have. these issues can be caused by like the abuse situation you're in, or just stuff with like diet and the food and the chemicals, environment. So pretty much trauma/spiritual or the food. But I'm not even really going to go into that. I'm more so going to talk about people's ideas around this that are really bullcrap. So too, this idea people have that somebody just feels like people don't like them, or they feel like people don't care about them, or that they're a burden because it's all in their head and they're just quote-unquote mentally ill, or it's just because of the quote-unquote depression. I would honestly say that I feel like there's a possibility where you could really want to unalive yourself without even being depressed. I don't know if that's going to make sense to most people, but I guess that's kind of a side thing, but I wanted to throw that in there. But overall, that's complete bull crap. The reason that the person is depressed, or quote-unquote depressed, is because they're in a bad situation. Now, if there's nothing going on, it could be past trauma, so it's still pretty much a bad situation, and they're most likely still in the environment that hurt them. They're still in contact with the people that hurt them and don't like them and abuse them. But if there really is nothing going on that people feel like should be making the person depressed, which really is never the case, then it's the food. But typically it's like, it's a mix of the two, trauma/the spiritual side, and the food and metabolic issues and parasites and bacterial overgrowth, mold overgrowth, brain damage, which you get from the drugs anyway, so it's like a double whammy. But it's not like, how do I put this? Because I know I was thinking about it months ago and I was putting it really good in my head and it was making sense to me. But like, it's really stupid to say that somebody who's acknowledging that the people around them don't give a crap about them is just all in their head, and it's just the effects of the mental illness lying to them. First of all, your thoughts don't lie to you. If you have thoughts in your head that are lying to you, then they're the thoughts of demons, or maybe even the parasites are trying to get you to take yourself out. I don't know. But usually that's going to be spiritual, or maybe possibly you have multiple personalities and you're like splitting, but that could even be spiritual too. But it doesn't necessarily always have to be demonic, as many people may think. Having multiple personalities is really just something that's going to happen from trauma. Most people do. But demons can attach to like the wounded emotions and the MPDs and stuff. But it doesn't have to be like as spooky as some people may feel it is. But overall, your thoughts aren't lying to yourself. You're not putting thoughts in your own head to talk junk to yourself. It doesn't even make any sense. And 99.9% of the time, it's the reality anyways. People need to stop making people feel like them accepting that the people that they have in their life don't give a crap about them is like just the illness, quote unquote. You know that the people around you don't give a crap about you. You know the people around you tell you literally that they hate you and they don't want you around and that you're a burden or whatever. Or you can just tell that they don't really like you. They like throw weird, shady remarks at you about you and your life situations, and then they just label it off as jokes or whatever, or something that's even way more worse and more serious, and even something like that. But don't let people tell you that it's just like a part of the quote-unquote illness, that you feel like the people around you don't like you. If the people around you don't like you, they just don't like you. You don't need to be lying to yourself about the fact that they don't like you, and you don't need to be around people that don't like you and pretend that they do like you. For one, it just shows how desperate you are, and it's really embarrassing. Like, I remember I once had a girl tell me, this may be word for word, I can't remember exactly, but it was something like, "You're so desperate it's funny." And that was years after I had already realized that I had limerence, codependency. In fact, this was way after I had stopped trying to have all those issues. But at this point in time, I was in school again for like maybe 3 months max, because I typically wasn't due to my abuse situation. So I was around people again, and like, it's kind of going to be like a side rant a little bit, but often when you're isolated, you can't really tell what all issues you still have. And then when you get around people again, you realize that you really didn't get better. You just weren't around other people to really see that you still have some of the same issues. But that's kind of a whole nother video, but I just wanted to throw that in there. But anywho, she was like, "You're so desperate, it's funny." Or maybe she even said, "You're so desperate, it's embarrassing." Or it's not funny. It was something like that, I can't really remember. But it's like, you don't want to be that person that's running around telling yourself I'm mentally ill to make yourself feel better. Honestly, you even accepting the whole mental label bullcrap is actually keeping you in the bad predicament and keeping you pushing these same cycles and screwing your life up and embarrassing yourself even more. 3, this can depend on your abuse situation and like what's actually going on, but typically if you do unalive yourself, well, not typically, if you do unalive yourself, you're just giving your abusers and other people around you who are perpetrators what they want. And then the other things that go along with that is that depending on your type of abuse situation, like maybe if it's like a cash for kids system, mental label Munchausen situation, or maybe even if it's not, you unaliving yourself is going to be used as proof that you were crazy, and it's going to be used to smear campaign you, and or it's going to be used for abusers to gain pity off of you and be like, "Woe is us, our victim," which of course you're not going to say that, but our victim took their self out to escape the abuse. Another thing, this is a thing that a lot of people think about, if they even believe in this, but the reality is that taking yourself out isn't a way out. It's just a fast track to hell. And to be truthfully honest, that's going to be even worse. A lot of people who like convince themselves that the afterlife isn't real will tell themselves that once they take themselves out, they're going to have like peace and harmony, but that's not even true. Really, there is no way out. That's really the reality. There is no way out. It's not over until it's over. I'm trying to think of what else I could say. But, that should have been the number 1, maybe. I'm trying to think. Okay, so if I can remember this, I'm going to edit this in. The screenshot, or one of the screenshots from the video, or the re-upload from maybe 2022 about my relative smear campaigning me all over the internet, along with the help of the police and what's that lady's name? Nancy Grace and plenty of other people, but she's the main one I remember anyways. But when that happened and that person was like, "Dang kid, you are the family scapegoat. I wish I had some good advice I could tell you." I can't remember all of what they said, but the part where they were like, "Nobody loves you, but nobody loved me either." That's the reality. People will push this narrative about people wanting to unalive themselves. That's like, oh, you just feel like people don't care about you and that nobody cares. Nobody does care. And you can't be depressed because nobody cares. Realistically, even though it's not the way that the world should be, it's the way that the world is. You can't force people to love you. You can't force people to be your friend. You can't force people to care about you. You can't force people to spend time with you or to help you or to help you get something to eat, to help you feel better. And also, nobody can make you feel better. Only you can help yourself not want to take yourself out. And I know that there's like some serious situations where you're like, I don't know, caged to like a radiator heater in somebody's basement that you don't even know. Of course you're going to be upset in situations like that, but especially in these situations that are really minor, or like you could get yourself out or there's nothing really going on, you got to figure that out. I mean, either way, you got to figure something out for every situation, but especially where the situations are like easy to figure out and it's not like something extremely complex, like, I don't know, trying to get out the cash for kids system, planning how to run away or escape abuse, something like that. Especially if it's not something like that, you really better figure something out quick and stop doing this little pity victim thing. Now, as far as the whole taking yourself out of selfish thing, I don't really like that narrative. I still don't like it, but I could see what people mean maybe when it's like, I don't know, a parent or something, and people are like, well, now who's going to take care of their kids? They should have thought about their kids. I could see that, but it's still stupid even then, because it's like, I mean, for one, as I've always said throughout the years, you should be living for yourself and for God, not really for your kids. Because the thing is, if if you base your whole life off of like, okay, I'm keeping myself alive for my kids, if something happens to your kid, you're going to lose your mind, and it's going to cause a lot of issues. And also, that means you're going to be parentifying your kid, using your kid as an emotional incest, using your kid for emotional incest, I don't know how else to put that, using your kid as a surrogate spouse, all those different things. You're going to be parentifying your kid because they're supposed to be your support system, which most people have kids to manipulate somebody or to use them anyways. So people have kids because they have a mixed baby fetish. They think babies are cute robot dolls, and they want somebody to beat on and sexually assault when they want to, or they just want to like baby trap somebody, or even maybe they got baby trapped themselves thinking they were going to baby trap some dude. That's why most people have kids, but also people have kids to use them as a friend, because a lot of people, they have this mindset, which is that their parents may not care about them, but their kid will always love them and care about them, even if nobody else does, which honestly that's not even really that true, but due to cognitive dissonance, maybe for a while the kid will, but after a while the kid may wake up, maybe not. But either way, that's not the mindset you should have. That's the mindset most people have when it comes to having kids and getting pregnant, and that's living for your kid in a very bad way, or having your kid to live for you, I guess. I guess maybe I'm kind of like making it more confusing than it has to be, but overall, you shouldn't be living for your kid or for anybody else. Like, for example, some people like certain stuff going on, certain issues going on, will be like, I'm going to have a friend, or I'm going to get this friend in, or a boyfriend or girlfriend, and now that I'm with them, now I have a reason to be alive, and now I'm not going to take myself out, or now I'm not going to go do something stupid because I have this boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. And then if something happens to them, or if they break up with you, then you lose it. You're trying to unalive them. You're trying to unalive yourself. And people can't fill God-sized voids. Nothing can. And you can't be using other people like that. Like, a lot of people always try to tell me that I have trust issues and all that stupid stuff. Honestly, most people aren't. Well, it's not even about trusting people, because it's not like I'm scared of anybody. Definitely not. And it's not like I don't have discernment, but honestly, a lot of people, it's like, how do I put this? If you're like anointed or prophetic and you have a call in your life or whatever, or you're just somebody that's very obviously different, a lot of people have a lot of different spirits that are going to target you, which I plan to make a video on, like the target individual thing, or maybe not even necessarily that, but just like how the demons in people are playing with you, and also something that's going to have something to do with Mandela effect, and like a recent situation that happened, which I thought I was just being gaslit at first, or like the demons in the person are playing with me, but honestly, especially after a video I watched last night, I was like, honestly, maybe they don't even remember like the whole situation that happened. Which, to make a summary, they like gave me this lock in a locker, and they let me borrow their lock until I got my own lock, and then like somehow, some way, to make a long story short, they didn't remember giving me the lock. And I was like, I don't really get why they're so mad about this, because it doesn't even really matter that much. I mean, if they don't remember, they don't remember. But I guess, I don't even know really how to put it. I guess maybe they felt like I robbed them somehow, or just, I don't know. They felt like I was trying to like manipulate them in some form or fashion, which I really feel would be weird to even do all over like a lock and a locker. It's really weird and kind of hard to explain, but at first I thought that the demons in the person were playing with me, but honestly now I'm thinking like Mandela effect. I was thinking maybe like how due to dissociation, the fact that everybody has trauma, maybe even the food and metabolic issues, and how they cause like brain damage and seizure type stuff, that a lot of people just don't remember stuff. Because I've had like a lot of experiences with people of them telling me like these very serious things, and then after the fact they'll be like, yeah, I never said that, I don't remember that. But anywho, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but like, if that summary even made any sense whatsoever, you know, things like that. I don't even remember how I started talking about that. Yes, yeah, so like metabolic issues and bad memory. And you know, like, I've dealt with stuff like that throughout my entire life. Like, actually, when I was like a lot younger, like 9, 8, my memory was actually a lot worse. So was my dad's. In fact, my dad's mom, She used to always tell me and my dad that if our head wasn't attached to our body, we would lose it and we wouldn't remember where we put it. But like, I now boil that down to mold toxicity, because most buildings in the U.S. have mold, and also formaldehyde and like lead. But yeah, so like I can understand why a lot of people may not remember things, but I just feel like that situation was a little too weird to really just even boil down to like even really the demons just wanting to play or mess with me. But it's like so many people around here have like these different types of like Jezebel spirits, because like, I mean, it's really a big spirit in America. It's a big spirit everywhere. People think it's like a feminist thing, but it's more than that. But also, of course, in like horror places, and just like with the true Yasharael community especially, a lot of our people have the Jezebel spirit, especially the women, and just marine spirits, control, and all types of stuff. And I always point out the fact that really, quote-unquote, black people and quote-unquote white people have a lot of the same issues, and they have no accountability on a large scale. Like, literally the same spirits in, like, the Jezebelic black woman, as I have videos about, are the same spirits in, like, the white Karen, or even the white supremacist, which white supremacy is rooted in the occult as well, which is another video, but it's all the same schizo, narc, leviathan, marine spirits, Jezebel spirit, the same manipulation spirits. It's all the same thing. That's why a lot of people in both communities, but like, for example, in the quote-unquote true Yasharael, or quote-unquote, no, not the quote-unquote black community, or quote-unquote true Yasharael, especially the American ones, but like the Judah tribe Bantus, people will be mad at their family system, and they'll like not see really the problem with like the white conservatives. Not that the white liberals aren't the same or worse, but they won't see anything wrong with like white supremacy or certain things with racism, because they'll be like, it's all true. Like some of the things that like the white conservatives, like people like, I don't know, the Charlie guys say, a lot of it is true. But it's like, the thing about that though is that it's still a lot of like, how do I even put it? It's like the white, no, that's not even a good example. Actually, scratch that, because I don't even know how I'm really going to make that make sense. Scratch that. The common example of the quote-unquote black man who gets with the quote-unquote white woman. This example is going to make more sense to people who understand this stuff. So, he's mad because of his Jezebelic black mom and all the trauma that she took him through, which is understandable, but he's also Jezebelic himself. So he goes and gets with a white woman because he feels like it's going to be different, and they get together, both of them, because they have the same spirits, because the white supremacy spirits are the same spirits that are under like the Jezebelic black house nigger stuff, to make a long story short. And so he gets with a white woman who is Jezebelic as well, and typically these black men get with white women that most white men would not want. So they get with like trailer park trash stereotype, like, I don't know, Slab City trailer park type white women, or maybe even not even just Slab City, like Caesar Borgia hippie dreadlock box braid having white women sometimes, or maybe they don't go that far, but that's the type that they get with, who's just as bad as the Jezebel black mom. Which is why a lot of people with mixed kid trauma, specifically from the black man, white woman, have really the same experiences as people with two quote-unquote black parents, but they just commonly don't know that, especially if, like, for example, they're from, like, a place where there isn't a lot of quote-unquote black people, or they have, like, Negroids, but the Negroids are African people. So that's still different culture, different people, different ethnicity. So they may not know that, honestly, the same trauma they describe of like having to get perms, getting all their hair cut off as a punishment, is the same thing, the same abuse that people with two black parents, two Jezebelic Willie Lynch syndrome house nigger programming, down low feminine thug persona black dad, it's the same trauma. But a lot of them don't know that, because they didn't really grow up in the stereotypical quote-unquote black community, or they just grew up around completely white people, quote-unquote, and white culture, because really black and white is just two different cultures. Unless you're in the South, then it kind of merges together, because as the higher level serpent seed Caucasians always say, the real white supremacists at the top, quote-unquote black people really learn a lot of their culture from southern white people, which most of the quote-unquote black population is in the South anyways, which is why they have this guns, Bible Belt, to a certain extent, because true Yasharael, of course, were the founders and creators of the Bible anyways. So I don't really like the whole white supremacy thing where you like even give Caucasian Europeans the credit for the Bible or really any religion, but still the flipped around Protestant and pagan Roman Catholic gospel, guns, what else is it? I can't remember the rest of it, but people know what I mean. Like, the saying that's very true that southern black people really learn all their little stereotypical culture stuff from southern white people, or really black people learn their culture from poor white people in the South. But anywho, I don't even remember why I got to that point, but wait a minute, hold up, now I'm confused. Why did I bring that up? I know I mentioned the mixed baby fetish. Anyways, same trauma, different people or two different ethnic groups. Same thing, whether a lot of people know it or not. Like, I even know like a couple mixed street kids like that talk about how they didn't learn how to start doing their hair and do like hygiene and keep up their hair until becoming homeless, because once they got out their abuse situation, they weren't like being shamed for their hair and having to get perms or having to get all their hair cut off as a punishment or being forced to get locks. But it's like they seem to not know that really people who aren't mixed go through the same thing. That's why I identify with people with mixed kid trauma, because really a big part of mixed kid trauma is often seeing the bull craps on both ends, especially when it comes to the whole quote-unquote black dad, white mom. But anywho, people want somebody else to like make them feel better and fill their voice instead of fixing their own issues. Don't remember why I really brought that up, but going back to another thing I was saying though, people will say the whole you just have trust issues and you're just paranoid thing, which the people that say that are never safe people. They're always very half safe people that are either completely predatory. No, some of them are completely predatory. Most of them don't see anything wrong with the very not okay things that they do, but really I think it's because their mindset is a mindset that's popular in the world of like, don't heal from trauma. Well, not even don't heal from trauma, that's easier said than done, but don't know the realities of trauma and why treating people like crap and treating your kids like crap is bad. Most people see it as okay and as discipline, especially in areas like where I'm at now, because it's very normalized under religion and stuff. Yeah, I don't know what else I was going to say with that, but one of the things about it though is that years ago I started to realize more and more that I didn't even really want to do the whole friend bullcrap anymore. Not just because it was like codependency and being buddy-buddy with everybody and trying to like have friendships with people that I didn't have anything in common with anyways. And also because typically due to the situations I'm in, even when I was in the abuse situation, I'm typically pretty isolated. I'm never around people my age. But also because like I didn't really want to even get into the cycle of using people to try to fill voids and trying to like make friends with people just to like accidentally use them or for us to accidentally use each other. It's not worth it, and I really don't even like it. And also, honestly, a lot of the games people play is just too confusing to me, and I don't like having to go back and forth in my head about whether I'm the bad guy, whether they like me or not. And you know, like, people talk about the symptoms of BPD, although typically people don't even know the term borderline personality disorder. They just think bipolar, even though really, I already have a whole playlist about it, but the bipolar label is bullcrap. You're typically never going to meet anybody who actually has all the symptoms of that. And a lot of times when people describe symptoms that they think is bipolar, they're actually really describing borderline personality disorder, but they don't know it because most people don't even know about it. And it's honestly a disorder, or quote-unquote disorder. Really, let me rephrase it. It's a set of symptoms that you can get from trauma at any point in time, and that you can also lose and get better and not have anymore at any point in time. But like, a lot of this stuff is BPD type stuff, but also it's like, do you really even have those issues, or are you just around people that make you BPD-ish? Are you around people where you have to argue back and forth in your head about whether they like you or not, and stuff like that, all the things that go along with that? And honestly, it's like sometimes I do fall back into it, not on a large scale, because I'm just not really in the situation where I'm around people, especially people my age enough for that. Not that that's necessarily by choice, because I'd rather not be around a bunch of like older people with serious issues who are setting their issues, especially the 40, sometimes 30-something plus ones, where a lot of them are like DL, chomos and stuff. I'd rather not be around those people, which reminds me of the video that I still have to make about that last Let Me Help You Lunatic situation that I've been trying to avoid for months, but kind of got re-pulled into somewhat due to like some lady who's been falling into these cycles of desperation for years. But I don't want to be using people in these types of ways, and it's really just kind of stupid at the end of the day, because in the end you get nothing out of it. A lot of people are just like destroying themselves and other people, and they think that like people think it's just the way of life. This kind of goes into the brainwashing and the trauma-based mind control that everybody's under. Everything that's not good is normalized, and the world's just a screwed up place. And if you realize that, people are going to hate you, and they're going to see you as like the bad guy and the Debbie Downer. Like, for years I've had people just sitting around waiting for me to take myself out because, quote unquote, I'm depressed. Like, I remember maybe on the part 5 channel, or maybe the part 6. No, I think the part 5, I can't even really remember, but when I was in school for maybe 3 months, no, this was after that, so I already wasn't in school anymore, but there was this one boy who was in school when I was in the Jim Crow self-confined placement, and he was like, he told me about how his dad was a diagnosed narcissist. A lot of people didn't like him because, honestly, he was very Jezebelic himself and very mean, but I mean, people say I'm mean and rude, so I guess it's whatever. I could say maybe he's up front and he curses too much, and it could come off pretty rude, but I remember a lot of people had issues with him because something he was doing that people didn't like. Usual story, essay by his cousin, the usual stuff that happens. I mean, like I always say though, most people I met in GA have been essayed, male and female, just like where I'm at now. And honestly, here and in GA, I can understand why, because all the dudes are weird pretty much. Very few dudes in this town aren't DL chomos who are in love with their own kids, but I'm not even going to go into that. Anyhow. What was I going to say? But anywho, he was just saying, to make a long story short, that I had depressing views on the world about love, and I just had mommy and daddy issues, but honestly, it's the reality of the world. People can say whatever they want to say, but it's the reality of the world. And he was like, if I don't stop thinking like that, I'm going to end up unaliving myself, and I'm still here. And that was at least, I don't even know if that was even 2023, it may have been, I don't know, probably 2022, but the latest here, it could have been, was like 2023, and I'm still here, so, and that's the thing that goes back to the original point. I noticed that a lot of the narratives when it comes to people wanting to unalive themselves revolves around people lying to themselves to make themselves feel better, and telling themselves that the reality of their situation and their surroundings is just a part of the quote-unquote illness. Telling people that it's not true that people don't like them. Telling people that it's not true that nobody cares. Telling people that they're not a burden to the people around them. Now, as far as the idea that, like, taking yourself out will make the world a better place, that's that's definitely not true. The world is still going to be a terrible place. But it's just like everything else, though, it is true. It can depend, though. I can't speak for everybody's situations, but typically there's going to be a reason you feel the way you do. And like for a lot of people that don't have like really horrible family systems, school is the issue. A lot of people get depressed about grades, or they get depressed about not fitting in a bullcrap trauma-based mind control fashion show. The school system is there to brainwash you and prepare you to become not even really just a worker. It's honestly deeper than that. It's the first branch of the Cash for Kids system. Typically, depending on your abuse situation, the school system branch of the Cash for Kids system will decide whether they brainwash and kill you or not. So typically the way it goes is that if you have abusive parents or no parents, you go into the school system branch of the Cash for Kids system. They either terrorize you, because typically you're going to be anointed or prophetic if your family system is really screwed up. So you're going to get terrorized, and you're going to notice that a lot of people don't like you if you're anointed or prophetic. You're going to be a target individual starting in school. You're probably going to get whoopings and threats and all types of lies from your teacher and people around you. And then you're going to have to go home and get tortured. And that's why I always say the school system is a very dangerous place for people who are being abused. Like a lot of people who live in La La Land and believe that there's some system put in place to help you, have this narrative that like, if people who are abusive take their kids out of school, they're keeping their kids from getting help. There is no help. You save yourself. A teacher is not going to save you. A teacher isn't even going to give a crap, most likely. And if they do, unless they're going to adopt you themselves, there's nothing that they can or will do to help you, so it doesn't matter. The school system is just going to add to your abuse. You're going to go get abused by random people at school. You're going to have teachers using your abuse situation against you. Like I remember, as I mentioned before in a video some months ago, one of the racist teachers at this one school I went to in elementary, because I honestly only went to elementary, and maybe like second grade, didn't like a couple of people. And I remember there was this one boy whose name was maybe like Anthony or something, probably not, maybe Aaron, I don't know, but she got mad at him for rocking back and forth. Not even rocking back and forth, he was just like moving side to side. A similar situation I seen where a teacher didn't like this one boy who was also Mexican. This was in a little bit of sixth grade I went to. Like I went to sixth grade for maybe 2 months. And he kept bouncing his leg, and the teacher got mad because of that. Because one, they were most likely anointed or prophetic, which is why the demons and the teacher, as well as the racist demons, targeted them. And so, in the first situation, the teacher threatened to call the boy's dad, and he was like, "Don't call my dad because then I'll get beat with a rope." He'll get beat with a rope for rocking back and forth, which honestly is why he's anxious and rocking back and forth anyways. And then as far as the second situation, he just had a single mom, and they had already pulled the whole ADHD thing with him by the time he was in sixth grade, so he was already being drugged and all that, and had the bullcrap label that's sexist and racial and used to make people who are intelligent feel like they're retarded. And so she called his mom to come sit with him in class because he was moving his leg. Something that a person who doesn't hate you really wouldn't even notice or pay attention to. And a lot of times throughout the years, I've thought about something that I've seen in a video somewhere years ago. This is a very long time ago. And I think about this really often. The video was supposed to be like a joke, but honestly I feel like it was kind of petty. But in this video, the lady was like, you know how when you hate somebody or you don't like them, everything they do makes you mad? And then she gave an example, and she was like, look at them over there having the nerve to eat some fried chicken. And that was the example she gave. And a lot of these situations are like that. This could even go into my eventual coming video about how the demons and people are playing with you. And I've noticed that a lot since I've been where I am. From the DL Chumbo situations with the Marine Kingdom agents and law enforcement to just a lot of other things, but like the usual stuff with Jezebelic black women. And like I always said, a lot of things become repressed memories for me. So once I was no longer living in these types of areas, I kind of forgot about the extent of how bad these situations are. And this can also go into my other eventual video that I'm going to make about how people who have good enough sense talk about escaping abuse or getting kicked out or escaping on your own, and they act like that's like the end all be all, but really the same demons in your abuser follow you for the rest of your life, and it's not over until it's over. They're going to continue being a targeted individual, and then people wonder why a lot of people just end up staying in the woods and living in caves, which honestly I don't see anything wrong with, but there's definitely like some things you got to figure out to have it be actually manageable, which is what I would want. I would want it to be manageable. I wouldn't want to just feel like, I don't know, struggling in the cave or whatever, although I know it's kind of hard to not struggle in the cave. It's like, honestly, stuff like that, it could be easier to do with a group of people, like somebody to like help clean up, help you carry stuff, help you go hunting and forage and stuff like that. I haven't done some of that stuff as much as like some other people I've known who are out here have done it. Like some people have foraged way more than I have. It's definitely something good to learn, but I don't know what else about to say.